What's up, guys and gals? Today is October 14th of 2020. In this video, I'm going to talk about two different news stories. The first of which involves golfer Dustin Johnson, the world's #1 ranked golfer, who was allegedly positive for COVID-19, a news story that came out yesterday, October 13th. The second news story we're going to look at is about a man named Madison Cawthorn, who is a congressional candidate for the 11th District in North Carolina. While not related to the coronavirus, you will see that this story as well is aligned with the same type of numerology that's used to give us the Dustin Johnson story. Again, understand that all of these news articles are by a numeric code. Most of what we see in the mainstream media is a false reality, fed to us by the numbers in order to alter our minds in the direction that the so-called New World Order, Illuminati, whatever you want to call it, towards their end agenda. So let's get into the numerology of these two stories, talk about how they're related. Now on this channel, I've been talking about these two eclipses for a little over 3 years. And I've been talking about how integral these two eclipses are as far back as 2017, even before the first one. And for a long time, we didn't really know what it was all pointing to. But now that we have a virus that's called the coronavirus, and of course, the corona is the part of the sun that's only visible during a total solar eclipse. Right around the midway point of these two total solar eclipses creating an X over the United States, we've been marked with the coronavirus. And those of you who are interested in and have been following esoteric numerology and symbolism over the past few years, you knew that something big was coming. And of course, now that this virus has been unleashed, allegedly, we know what it's all about. In our standard reduction methods, the name Dustin Johnson sums to both 56 and 70. These are appropriate numbers to be diagnosed with coronavirus, which also sums to 56 and 70 in those same reduction methods. Using the standard 26-letter alphabetic order, the name Dustin Johnson gives us a value of 182. Now, if you measure from the date of this news story, October 13th of 2020, to the date that the next time we will be able to see the corona of the sun from the United States of America, it's a span of exactly 182 weeks. Part of what's so interesting about this second eclipse being in the year 2024 is how this relates to the Gematria of corona. In Jewish or Latin Gematria, the word corona sums to 224, just like the date of this second eclipse. And if you think about it, you multiply 2 times 24, you get 48. This 2024 eclipse is on the date 48. Now, in reverse reduction, the word corona gives us a value of 33. And this is fitting because, again, the corona is only visible during a total eclipse. The word eclipse summing to 33. Now, when we check out the properties of the number 33, we find that it has a prime factorization of 11 times 3. As we mentioned, this story made the news on October 13th. And of course, with that 0 dropped, as we always do in numerology, this represents the number 113. Dustin Johnson was born on the date June 22nd, which means that 1013 falls exactly 113 days after his birthday. What also stands out is how this same measurement is also 3 months and 3 weeks, exactly. The name Dustin equals 33 with the S exception and 113 with capital letters. This Francis Bacon method, simply adding 26 to each capital letter with the standard alphabetic order. What's also interesting about 1013 is that if you measure to the last total solar eclipse, this most recent one from last year, you get 1 year and 103 days. So in the blog post that's linked down below in the description, you'll find a link to my video on the number 666 and how it's related to the coronavirus. This COVID-19 scam that's rocking the world is entirely coded around the number 666 because this is all about bringing the mark of the beast to the people of this world, changing how they can buy and sell primarily. I think that's the number one agenda here. Now, the number 666 is related to the sun. Of course, the magic square of the sun, there's one for each of the inner planets. This square sums to 666. Of course, the Earth, its axis is on a 66.6 degree tilt to the plane of the sun. Of course, carbon, the sixth element, 6 neutrons, 6 protons, 6 electrons. And also notice how the name Dustin equals 443 and 87. Also 24. I should have listed all these numbers because these are all the numbers of the sun. 87, 24, and 443. But in regards to the number 666, 666 is related to the number 36, and it's very clear to see why. Not only is 666 made up of 3 sixes, but if you add every number, 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4, all the way through 36, you get a sum of 666. So isn't it interesting that this story comes out when Dustin Johnson is both 36 years old and exactly 36 weeks before his next birthday? Check out how in reduction, the word golfer equals 36. This guy, the world's #1 golfer, right? But this riddle gets even better. Notice how golfer sums to 63 in the alphabetic order. The date of this news story, October 13th, had what we call primary numerology of 63. 10 plus 13 plus 20 plus 20. Now let me show you how 63 is also connected to Dustin Johnson's numerology. We talked about triangular numbers. Remember the 36th triangular number being 666. Well, if you flip the number 36 around to this 63 and add every number 1 through 63, you get the number 2016. 2016, right? Dustin Johnson won his only golf major in the year 2016 at the U.S. Open. Of course, 6 times 6 times 6 has a product of 216. If you follow my work, you know the moon has an equatorial diameter of 2,160 miles. The name Dustin Johnson equals 1321 in Jewish Gematria. That's the 216th prime number. Also, Dustin Johnson's full name with matching 88 Gematria with October 13th. So quite clearly, in Eclipse riddle, of course, everything with the coronavirus has to do with the dates on which we can see the corona of the sun. Very logical decodes here, nothing special about it. But I want to talk about how this extends beyond COVID-19. It became clear to me at some point that this eclipse code extends into all branches of the mainstream media. And we'll talk about this news story regarding Madison Cawthorn. Apparently, his house was vandalized. He's saying it's no surprise. And again, this is all part of the media division agenda that we're seeing play out, especially here in 2020. It's one thing to take our rights by telling us to stay inside, making us wear masks on our face and things like that, but what really gives the agenda away is the blatant division that we're seeing play out through both sides of the media, the left and the right. And I think civil war would really be the goal of these organizations, but I don't quite see that happening. You never know. 2020 has been crazy. Anyways, let's get into the numerology here. It's very simple. We start with Madison Cawthorn's birthday. Madison was born on August 1st of 1995. This means today's news story, again, this was published today, October 14th. Notice how today is a span of 75 days after Madison's birthday. In the alphabetic order, the name Madison sums to 75. But also notice the reverse alphabetic order. Madison sums to 114. Well, today is October 14th, written 1014. This man will be on the ballot this November to be a North Carolina congressman, which also sums to 114. What stands out about this man's age, however, is how old he will be on Election Day. This coming Election Day, when Madison will be on the ballot, he'll be exactly 1,318 weeks old. And that's interesting because he's running for the 11th district. And in English Gematria, notice how 11th district equals 1318. I kind of like the number 1318. If you look in the book of Revelation, you'll find that the number of the beast, 666, is revealed in Revelation 1318. And as I just mentioned in the last story, 666, a number equated with eclipses. Think about how plane of the sun sums to 156 in ordinal. The Hebrew word for eclipse equals 156 because eclipses always occur 1, 5, or 6 lunar phases after the last one. In English, eclipse the sun equals 156. So does 666, as well as triple sixes. The 156th prime number, by the way, is 911. We know this number to be very significant, the date of the largest terror attack in U.S. history. It occurred in 2001, which that year we had a total eclipse on the summer solstice. Now, you may have noticed that in Jewish Gematria, Madison equals 224. Remember, this was the value of Corona, 224, this second eclipse in the year 2024. Also consider how coronavirus originated in the same province that the Black Plague originated from in the 1300s. That province is called Hubei, which equals 224. Now, if you look up the Black Death in Wikipedia, you find out that it ended in the year 1353, and this falls exactly 666 years before 2019. So anyway, back to the fact that Madison equals 224. The reason I point this out is because if you measure from the date of this news story, October 14th, to April 8th, which is the date of the 2024 eclipse, notice how you get exactly 177 days. This is the ordinal value of Madison Cawthorn, 177. Wow, also notice how Madison Cawthorn equals 69 in reduction. That's the ordinal value of the word eclipse. Now, as significant as these two eclipses are, there's another one this year that's also very significant. These two eclipses both fall on a Monday. Of course, Monday, the day named after the moon, which is pretty curious. One of the reasons I think that our calendar was designed with this ritual in mind. The exact midway point of these two eclipses will be on December 14th, later this year. And on that date, there's another total solar eclipse, this one going over South America. And the reason I think the 2020 total solar eclipse is so interesting is because total solar eclipse equals 202 in the alphabetic order. Of course, this is the year that we get the coronavirus pandemic, which equals 220. Declared a pandemic on the 11th of March, or 11/3. Now, later this year, on the date of that 2020 eclipse, look how old Madison Cawthorn will be. 1,323 weeks old. This lines up with the gematria of his full name, David Madison Cawthorn, 323 reverse. And you always got to wonder about these guys who use their middle name as their first name. Like, what's wrong with the name David Cawthorn? Of course, I would venture to say that the gematria has a lot to do with it. So this man is a candidate for Congress, and I want to point out how the word candidate sums to 61 in the alphabetic order. Measuring from this news story to the date of this year's total eclipse is 61 days. And in reduction, the name David Cawthorn equals 61. This man's real name. But check out reverse reduction. David Cawthorn summing to 74. This makes it pretty interesting that they used "no surprise" in quotes here on Fox News' article. No surprise, 704. Well, if you measure from August 1st to this man's birthday, you get 74 days. 74 days is also 2 months, 13 days. Madison Cawthorn was born on the 213th day of a non-leap year. Notice how 213 is the gematria of racism. And while racism is not specifically stated in this news article, one can draw their own conclusions on the types of issues pulling people apart right now. Also, I like this headline for another reason, because it sums to 1151 in reverse gematria. If you measure from the date of the first Great American Eclipse, August 21st of 2017, to the date of this news story, you get exactly 1151 days. The last name Cawthorn sums to the same as Eclipse. The name Madison also shares that 42. And again, the ultimate eclipse number being 1331, as I talk about in most of my videos and posts. Remember, it was this 1331 eclipse that never touched a major body of water. And it was shortly after this 1331 eclipse, you'll see the Black Death started in 1346, but you'll see there was a big plague in Europe in the 1330s as well. And it's interesting because, again, Black Death starting in Hubei, China, the same province as the coronavirus, the corona, all related to the eclipse code. I'm almost glad that, well, I don't want to say I'm happy that this COVID-19 scam happened. It was bound to happen anyway, but it really helped prove my point about this eclipse code, didn't it? Talking about this for 3 years and then we get a virus named after it. It's so ridiculous. But the name David Cawthorn in English gematria summing to 1330, one off of 1331. Remember, 133 summing to 1331. So there you have it. More news stories, more eclipse connections, showing once again that it's just all a big script. It's all a big play. Everything we're seeing play out in the mainstream is theatrical. And the commodity that they're looking for is your mind. So don't let them have it. And don't let them have the minds of the others if you can help it. All right, guys. Peace, love, God bless. That'll do it for this video. Thanks for tuning in. Appreciate all the love and support. You guys are the best. See ya.